I don't think so, because having come from and having had the framework of Periyar, they were not agreeable to the principles of Gandhi. For instance, I'll tell you, Gandhi was a great advocate of the self-sufficient villages, whereas the policy actions taken by DMK after coming to power goes straight against these kind of notions. Like for instance, what they did, not instance, I can list you the several measures that they have taken to destroy this kind of villages. First step what they did was, they weakened the panchayat system consciously. Earlier, if you take the panchayat unions, and the panchayat union chairman used to be very powerful, and they were the ones who will be transferring teachers. Teachers were reporting to them, primary school teachers. Not only primary schools, that is one segment. Then if you take the block level agriculture officer, they were under their control. Block level credit officer, they were under their control. Then engineer was under their control. Even the doctors were under their control. They were so powerful. Then between 1967 and 76, all these fellows were taken out of the purview of the panchayats, and they were brought under the line departments straight away. So the district agriculture officer will be controlling the block level agriculture officer. Similarly, all other departments, they were controlling their officers straight away, and the panchayats were reduced to just panchayats. And as a result, the village level panchayat president also lost the power. That is one. Secondly, what they did was, the village administration. The village administration was through the hereditary village headman and that accountants. Okay. So the Administrative Reforms Commission that was appointed by Kalaignar in 1973 under the chairmanship of Dravidian, I remember. He recommended that that has to be completely taken off. As a result, what they did was, the post of village administrative officer was introduced, and that the initial step was taken by Kalaignar, but before it gets completed, he lost his power in 1976. And when MGR came to power in 1977, he continued it on the same line, and he abolished the hereditary village headman post and introduced no village administrative post. Not only that, till then, the village revenue records were kept in the hereditary village headman's house. Then a separate office was built, and all the records were kept there. So you see the politics of it. That is a secular space, and the person who is appointed is a government appointee who comes through the Tamilnadu Public Service Commission, which means there will be reservations, and it is a transferable job. So, and he directly reports to the Tahsildar, and then the Tahsildar in turn reports to the collector, collector reports to the chief secretary reports to the chief minister. So, the entire structure was given a huge shake-up, and they were stripped of so many powers throughout this phase. That is one. Secondly, what they did was, they broke the backbone of the landlords through several measures, legal and then extra legal. They did all those things to destroy their power. And third thing what they did was, when they introduced this, when they strengthened the public distribution system, they also reduced the power of the local elite, landed elite. When you start distributing grains through the ration shops, what happens is, they were controlling the rural society through food. When you take that control and you have it with yourself, when state uses that as a welfare measure, they lost that control as well. So you see how they were unstripped of all this, all these powers that they had. Like for instance, first the panchayat union was stripped of its power, then the panchayat presidents, and then the village administration, and then their economy, the control over the economy, the control over the society through food. Everything was taken away brick by brick. So I would not subscribe to the view that they have borrowed this concept from Gandhi, because Gandhi is the person who said the soul of India lives in the villages. And these people believed that no, all the village powers should be restructured in such a way that the dominance of state should be prevailing even at the village level. So it just runs counter to the notion that Gandhi had. So I won't buy that argument that no, they have borrowed this concept from Gandhi. That is one. Secondly, is it Marxian framework? Like for instance, if you take the Marxian framework, the problem is not the problem. The basic characteristic is that the means of production has to be taken away from the private property holders and to be held by the people as a, essentially it means that the state will own all the resources. They haven't tried that. Instead what they have done is, just imagine the outcome. What will be the outcome? They have tried to do that. They have tried to introduce those outcomes straight away to the people. Why do you want to give land? You want to give them food security. Instead of giving land, what you do is you give the food security straight away. That's what they have done. They have bypassed several of these steps. But they had the end result in their mind and they have worked towards it. That's why I would look at their agenda and the way in which they have worked. First question, land to the tiller. Who is a tiller? Okay, that is the point. So what you mean is, tiller is a tenant. He is if you say that tiller is the tenant, the kind of law that they have brought in is enormous, and that has resulted in a lot of land transfers from the landed rate to the erstwhile tenants. And I have documented it through my research in Tanjore Delta, Kaveri Delta, and the recent book that I wrote which was published during the book fair is precisely on that. So on that front, I would say that they had been very successful in terms of endowing the land which was formerly cultivated by the tenants and now are literally owned by the tenants. That has been ensured. That is one. The second question, the common understanding is that the land reform is a failure in Tamilnadu, and I don't subscribe to that view at all. Okay, and I would argue, in fact, that they haven't proved the case. What they do is, they say that this is the law. Then they say that this much of surplus land should have been acquired, and this much of land should have been distributed, and that hasn't happened. So they say that it is a failure. Whereas the way in which it has worked at the ground level is completely different. The only question that I ask them who say that the land reform has failed, the other question that I ask them is that, do you mean to say that landlordism still survives? It doesn't. So then explain to me what has happened in between. And there lies the answer, whether the program has succeeded or not. The program has succeeded, and that's what I have shown. And if somebody is willing to demonstrate or show with the evidences that it hasn't, I'll be very thankful to them, and I'll withdraw my conclusions on that front. That is one. Secondly, we are talking about this 3 measures for a rupee. That is like Anna said, that is our lakshya, that is our goal. That has taken a lot of time, but in fact it has come to a stage where they are given free. So instead of doing it in 1967, they could do it in 1996, I think. I don't think so. I haven't seen any of those evidences, because I have been working on this land agriculture for the past 35 years, and these are all bogus claims. Like all these new stories that they spin and they give it around. I think it's one of those stories, and it doesn't deserve any answer. The success rate is very high in Tamil Nadu. Okay, it's not as successful in West Bengal as we have. Though in terms of land reforms, they have succeeded much better. But that is the way in which you measure the land reforms. they demonstrate that they have distributed it better, and Kerala they have distributed it better. But in terms of per capita income, we are much ahead of those states. That is because the kind of economy that we have developed, they haven't developed that kind of an economy. So not only that, those two states, despite bringing in the land reform, they do not have a universal public distribution system. Tamilnadu is the only state which has the universal public distribution system. As I answered to your first question, where I said like people like Amartya Sen attribute this universal public distribution system and free distribution of rice as one important reason for a drastic reduction in the poverty levels in the state. You see, there was a law which was brought about in 1969 or 70, I don't remember. And that, as per that law, on a particular date, whoever were living, wherever they were living, they were given a plot. So that covered enormous number of people. But the kind of population explosion that we had, and then the nucleation of families, we try. It's a top priority. In fact, the government has a very conscious policy of providing house sites for those who do not have house sites, and that is one. Secondly, Tamilnadu is the first state which introduced the local housing scheme for the houseless people. So that still goes on. So if you go and see the kind of houses that we have built over a long period of time, it's phenomenal. They have built up so many other things. But I don't exactly have the data to tell you how many people are without houses, and whether it is higher than Kerala or lower than Kerala. I do not have that kind of an information. I'll check it up and I'll let you know about that.